business on display. Network, let's heal and pray. It's our love, we here to stay. Trust in God, he'll lead the way. We on right now, no need to wait. Let's go. It's Nisha's Network, yeah. It's all about connecting, yeah. Let's go.
Hey everybody! Welcome to Nisha's Network. Yeah. It's all about connecting. That's what we're finna do. Welcome to Nisha's Network. My name is Kristen.
I'm Terrence.
And we are your hosts for this evening. And if you haven't guessed, our guest of the day is none other than the Joneser. We have the honor and privilege of interviewing our aunt and uncle.
Yeah, what's up, y'all?
That is so fun.
What's up, nephew? What's going on?
Chilling, man, chilling.
Yes, sir.
So we prepare a bunch of different questions that we want to ask this amazing couple. But before we do that, why don't you guys give us the basics? Like, who are you? How long you been married? And how many kids you have? All that good stuff.
Okay. I'm Rachel. This is John. I see genre on the screen. That's our names pushed together. Anyway, we've been married almost 15 years in December. And we have 6 children, 1 on the way. And what else?
That's us in a nutshell.
That's great. And congratulations to your 1 on the way.
Yeah.
There's never too many Joneses in the world. I'm so excited. So we're just gonna dive right in. We're not gonna waste any time. The point of Marriage Madness, for those of you who have been watching, is to promote Heart Life Ministries annual marriage getaway that we, all 4 of us, I know we go hard for the marriage getaway.
Yes,
We have lots of fun, and it just has kept our marriage together, and I know so many others. So we just want to get to the bottom of that and get to know a couple of the couples that go all the time. Are y'all ready for the first question?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll let you ask the first question. It's a little bit of an icebreaker.
Well, personally, I want to know this question anyway. You know what I mean? Because I don't know it. I feel like I know a lot about you all already. But just about each other, what would be your favorite thing about the other?
I guess I'll go first. I can't get into too deep things about things.
Right.
But but what I will say is honestly, I think one of my favorite things is when we met, and pretty much when we got married, I knew I was marrying a woman that loved God more than me. And I ain't trying to be religious. I swear I'm not. But I knew that she loved God more than she loved me. So what that meant to me is at the end of the day, that she was going to honor God and respect God. And I knew if she was going to do that, then I believe everything else, because that means I got to deal with my crazy self. You know what I'm saying? I got to deal with my nutty brain. So because I knew at the end of the day, she was going to be like, well, you know what? I know I feel this way, but this is what God said, So I think that's one of the, and when we were talking our first conversation and our first date, I saw all that in there. I'm like, man, this woman's fantastic.
Okay.
And how many years later you could still say that's your favorite thing?
Yeah, this is 15 years. And that,
wow.
Honestly, I mean, like you talk about having peace in the home. You talk about, I can go through a whole bunch of reasons why, but that alone is like, I know when I act crazy, I know, we both act crazy, whatever goes on. At the end of the day, she going to look at God and she going to talk to him like, okay, all right, we need to submit this to God. That means we need to apologize. We need to whatever it is. And man, that eliminates a whole bunch of stuff.
So Uncle John, you trying to say that's what you saw first? It wasn't how fine she was.
Well, I mean, I didn't say first, what I'm saying.
That's your favorite.
Favorite. The first thing I saw,
what I'm saying?
No, that, you know what I'm saying? The Lord blessed the woman. You know what I'm saying? She's fully blessed. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I saw it all.
Okay, Auntie Rachel, what are you gonna say?
I think I'd say one of my favorite things is that first thing I thought about was he's just funny. It makes me laugh all the time. We can laugh together, and I don't know. We play off each other. We both goofs, and he gets my jokes most of the time. Sometimes, so he makes me laugh. I think that he's a favorite.
That is a good one. Well, I think that's my favorite thing about y'all is that even y'all kids, y'all can't even take a picture. Y'all are goofy and fun. And so that's my favorite thing for sure.
Yeah, those were very great answers. I wouldn't have guessed that. I love the humor. The kids always acting silly. You know what I mean? I love it. Keep you laughing. I know they get that from Aunt. Always cracking jokes and whatnot
And
too.
aunt.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, we got one here.
Hey,
Okay.
we expected to see an appearance of one of them at least.
Yeah, it may happen, and that screaming may happen every now and then. So
That's okay. That's what makes it fun. So the next question is, and here go ours disturbing. Where would you go on a dream vacation? I don't know if y'all gotta huddle up, but y'all gotta agree on it.
Oh, we gotta agree.
Yeah, together. Where would y'all go? What would be the perfect dream vacation for y'all two?
Oh, I thought you were gonna have each of us have that, their own opinion of which one. Okay, together. Listen, I think she'll agree with me on this. If we had a 30-day tour of Europe, to where we can go and bounce and go to different countries and just tour and enjoy. Take 30 days and not feel like we're in a rush.
Y'all got money.
Sounds pretty great.
Hey, it sounds great. Remember, the word is dream. Dream. Not saying it can't come true. Hey, listen.
One day.
That is a good one. Okay, so we are going to get into some more of the juicy questions. Those are 2 icebreaker questions you guys did beautifully. We got a little bit of an audience right now, so let's get the people what they want. Okay.
Let's go.
What is each other's love language? And so listen, so when I ask you this, you say the others, and then the other person confirms if it's right or not. Okay. So what is each other's love language? And then has it changed over the years after you answer that first question?
Okay.
You want me to go? Go ahead.
I can go. Your love language is words of affirmation and physical touch.
That's right.
That is on point.
And it has not changed much though.
And that's why we're on kid number 7.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
And for her, it is, oh my goodness, I just had a brain freeze. Acts of service, act of service. And I'll tell you that over the years, she's got an additional one, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think over the years, she may have added a little bit of words of affirmation.
You missing one.
Acts of service. Oh Lord, let's go through. Gifts. Like, no. Oh my goodness, I'm having a brain freeze.
I know what it is.
Acts of service is pretty high, but quality time.
Quality. Listen, I wish I had a list in front of me. I'm sorry, I had a brain freeze of the entire list of them. But yes.
But that is true that words of affirmation did not become a primary, but it did go higher because he's words of affirmation. So he gives lots of words of affirmation. So it increased, but it used to be very, 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 very low. Yeah. I'm an action over words person.
No doubt about that.
Show me, don't tell me.
Yep.
So I just want to ask a spin-off question. Why do you think, because that's what he gave, that became what you liked, and then you feel like that's common?
Well, what I think is that we need all of them, and depending on how we grew up and what we received and what we kind of leaned more towards determines what becomes primary, and or what we even what we received, if you received it or if you're missing it. I think sometimes it depends on, it kind of goes with personality too, I think. But I do believe that we need all of the love languages to be, in order to have a good balance. But I think that when you start receiving it, you're like, I think for me it was, oh, I didn't know I needed that, or I didn't know I was missing that. And I think I received a good amount of words of affirmation from others. Um, I don't know about the people closest to me as far as that, but I feel like it just was kind of like, oh, I didn't know I needed that, or like, oh, I kind of like, I just kind of noticed that it increased from being very low to, but I think too, I can think about why action would be so much more, because I want to believe, what you say, but I would like proof by what you show me.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't.
That was so good. That was interesting. I have more questions, but I'm long-winded, so I'm gonna go on to the next one.
We can always probe and drill it. It's all good.
Okay, well then let me just ask one more question then. So what you're saying is that what you received the most was not your primary love language when you got into marriage. Or what you received the least, I'm sorry. What you received the least was not your primary love language when you got into marriage. And then as you received it, you figured out that you actually do like that and need it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, I feel like I felt like it was the opposite for me.
Yeah, and that's why I said it that way, because I think it could be either or. I think you could have either received it a lot or received it the least, and I think depending on the person, it has a different effect. I think it does. So I agree that it could either be, hey, it was most of what I received. So that, like, people who like gifts, they may have received a lot of gifts, um, or people who didn't. Well, I would really like to receive gifts.
Yeah.
So it could be a strong desire because that's one of their, I think it just depends on the makeup of the person, as well as how we grew up and the circumstances that we found ourselves in.
Okay. And I got one other question that was a spin-off question. How did you manage receiving his Uncle John's love when what he was giving might not have been your primary love language? Like, how did you guys manage that as a couple?
I'm gonna spin that question around just a little bit, because I have more experience with what having to give it. I mean, as far as what is more prominent in my memory,
Right.
in having to give words of affirmation was very difficult for me, because I am not a words person, and so it was in the beginning. I realized, hey, and coming to marriage getaways helped me know that I needed to speak his love language and be intentional with that. And so that caused me to have to be really intentional. But at first, it was like baby talk, and it probably sounded stupid and sarcastic, but it wasn't. I promise, I meant it. And there were times, early on, where I also had to speak those things, not as though they are, but as though they were, because that's just positive talk, right? And we speak life instead of death, and you begin to see those things that maybe you weren't seeing enough of, and you start to see them because you're speaking to them. So anyway, I know he didn't always believe me, or or kind of laugh, because it was like baby talk at first, and then as time grew on, I got better at it. And as far as receiving, I think I just received it well, because it was coming from him, and I just kind of, okay, just soaked it in, because it was just love being poured out. So
Yeah, I think when initially she was giving it did feel like, forced. It felt like baby talk, but I understood, sometimes it was like, okay, babe, all right, you just trying to say this because you think I need it, and Lord, but I was like, okay, she's making an effort. She's going out of her way to do something that this is not her norm, and I know she loves me. And then, but again, it's like baby talk, and the more she did it, it became like now she's not like, I feel like, okay, she's coming into the room to give me what I need right now. I mean, don't feel that way. It's just natural part of who we are and what we do because she's gotten real good at it.
Wow, that's really cool.
I want to say, I want to encourage other couples to be patient with each other and give each other grace when you do something that's not in your norm, but the effort that's being made, allow them the time to grow and be patient.
Yeah, because you can quickly say, oh man, that's just fake. That's just, you don't really mean that. It's like, no, I really love you. Yeah. It's just the way that you need it expressed. I'm not used to that. This is not my sweet spot, but I'm willing to actually work this out until it becomes a sweet spot. I mean, even that person trying to make that effort, we've got to give each other more mercy, more grace to allow them to build those muscles.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really good. I think I learned a little something.
Yeah, but I wanna add something. Can I?
Go ahead. Of course, go ahead.
You all been married 15 years, right?
Yes, sir.
15. So after 15 years, what does a typical date night look like, or just a typical date with each other? Like, keep it spicy. 15 years. That's a long time. Okay. Where it's not boring.
Right. Well, to be honest, we're both homebodies, so we are good at home, but we do like to go out. However, with all these children that we have, a lot of our date nights are Bona Pizza on Thursdays. Star Wars. What is either some type of series?
The Mandalorian.
We watched Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, whatever. Yeah.
On the bed in our room,
lock the door, kids while everybody's put the bed, and then we have the next 3 hours, 4 hours are ours. To love on each other, laugh with each other, to focus on each other, to enjoy. Yeah. So we're definitely haven't been, and I definitely want to be, to try to pull her away more. It's just been difficult, having 6 kids and the ages that they are, to get babysitters or to tell the oldest just to go ahead and watch them, and right. She'll get iffy and late at night, stuff like that. But we try to be intentional about, hey, the time that we have, let's just put the kids. I think we might even learn some of that from Ben Stewart. He was a previous pastor, executive pastor, Christian Life Center. He talked about now he used his kids, not used them, but his kids got involved. It's like, hey, use was a bad word, but how he got his kids involved and said, hey, kids, it's important for mommy and dad to be healthy. It's important for us to spend time together. And they were like, yeah, okay, so we'll help. They went downstairs, the kid will bring the food and, and serve them and do different things like that to get them involved and know that, hey, mom and daddy need their time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely some good advice. Great advice. It's always different. Every couple, you kind of mold it to what you all like anyway, but
and based off the season that you're in and like being okay with that, I feel like that's such a good thing to promote, that you're okay with being together at home, and that is a date, and it's honoring the season that you're in, but still honoring that you need alone time. I think that's such wisdom.
For sure, yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, and so because y'all have 6 kids and 1 on the way, is it 6 and 1 on the way? Yeah, 6 and 1 on the way. Tell me what family means to you, and how important is it? How much of a priority is it to have family time and to invest in family time?
Man, I'll say this. After this being year 15, family is more important to me now than it's ever been. I thought it was important at the beginning. Looking back, I saw and I see a lot of me kind of, half being there, half not, have more being concerned about, career, which was pastoring, what I'm saying? And more, found myself being, inundated and going out of my way for others, but not going out of my way for my own. And, I had to learn, really had to learn. I had to, look her in the eye, and she looked at me like, hey, babe, you're not here. Her look at me in the eye, but we have a conversation now, like there's seasons where I get caught up and I'll just go and lay down and get on my phone and just like, and I'll be zoning out because I'll kind of like veg and say, hey, baby, you're not here. Like, oh, yeah, let me put that thing away. But yeah, it is the most important ministry that we have. It is the most important, more important than showering our kids with gifts and making sure they got this and got that. Like, no, I want to make sure they got us, and that we are heavily involved. And we homeschool as well. So 6 kids being at home, homeschool is more than a notion, but they understand that one of the reasons we do that is because we love them, and we value them and we want to pour into them and we want to, be with them. So,
yeah, I would say, God designing the family to be what it is, and that being our greatest calling, motherhood, parenting, I think it's a great call. It's not easy, but it's worth it, and the blessing that children add. So family means so much to me, to be able to, just like with, any person, when you love God and we love people, we want them to know, hey, I want you to know the one who made you. I want you to know why you're here. I want you to know, to live for the purpose which you were created. And so, to me, that family time, that family spending together, we spend lots of time in devotion, having fun together, whatever it is, it's all important because they need it all.
Yeah, that was so good. And I just want to say, just as an outsider, one thing that I've recognized, and they're my cousins, of course, and I love them, but this is a really, truly unbiased opinion that I've heard from more than one person about how loving they are and how accepting they are in whatever arena they go into. They might be a little wild, but they love like Jesus, like on my kids, on kids they don't know, anywhere they go. And so I just feel like what you guys are pouring into is definitely not in vain. And they're just so kind. Like they're the most kind children I've ever met. I love them. Anyway,
That's good to hear, because that's like one of the number one rules here is to be kind, and they don't do that good with each other. But
Okay. I don't want to flip it and make it too much about us, but it just brings the next question to mind for me.
Yeah.
What are 2 like major challenges that God has brought you all through? That's like, it's a testimony, that can help people.
Yeah. I think, man, it's a lot of different challenges. 15 years, so it's a lot of different ones. But I think the one that always comes to mind first for me is just, I don't even know how to phrase it, but I'll just call it, financial challenges. I mean, today we got a financial challenge, you know what I'm saying? So, but in the midst of, over the years where we've had financial challenges, where we believe that we were doing what God wanted us to do, and we look at each other in the eye like, man, babe, it don't seem like things are coming together, but we believe we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're making sure that, and we've just seen God just, oh my goodness, just ridiculously show out. Like, I always give the testimony of, we believe in giving. We like to give till it hurts. We just believe in giving. We believe that, whatever man sows, that's what he reaps. If I'm a giver, I'm gonna get. It's just, and we don't give to give. We give to be like God, but God just blesses and keeps us in that cycle of giving. And we believe that. And when we decided, even when we got married, it's like, we want to tithe. We want to give from our first and just give it to God, give it to God. And we were giving, and we didn't have money for our rent. It's like, okay, God, we gave first because we wanted to honor you, but right now we don't have money for rent, but we believe this is what you told us to do. And again, I'm not telling people, this is what they need to do, none of that stuff, but this is what we did. We believe that we were supposed to do that. And all of a sudden we get a phone, like, hey, hey, how y'all doing? Like, well, I was praying and Lord pressing my heart to bring you all a check. And the check was the exact amount of money that we needed for the rent. And this is like, we're looking like, what in the world is this? You know what I'm saying? Talking about the testimony. But again, it's, we've had many things like that of proving, and God proving like, hey, listen, if you trust me, it might not be comfortable. It may not be the way you want it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to show myself, and I'm going to show myself strong. I got your back. And he's done that different times in different ways.
Yeah.
Can I say something to that real quick? That just prompted me to think, like, because you could have just paid your rent, but like, would you have ever known God to be a provider if you did? You know what I'm saying? If you didn't do it his way and just be able to live out on faith like that, because you could have paid your rent and just going on your merry little life. But like, to know God like that, that's just so cool.
Kris,
okay.
I think that statement you said it all. God been dealing with me that strong, dealing with me with that really strong in the last couple of years. He's like, John, we would rather know God in theory than to know Him,
right?
And for Him to show Himself,
real life, right?
Yeah, for Him to show Himself, we've got to go through some stuff. You all been through some stuff, and y'all seen God show up. We've been through some stuff, and we've seen God. But in order for us to see God do it, we got to walk through some stuff, man. Like, we got to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. We got to walk through some crazy stuff. And I don't know, ain't none of us signing up for that. Listen, to this day, I'm not signing up for that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, make me go through the mud. I ain't signing up for that. But I do know things are going to happen. The Bible says, in this life, you're going to have trying times. But, don't be afraid. God has overcome it all. So, but you nailed it. We much rather not have to experience God. But God's like, man, I don't want you to know me in theory. Because there's so many theories out here in this world. Everybody got a theory. Everybody can talk about what they think. Everybody got something. He said, I want to show you that I'm real. It ain't just a thought.
Yeah. For me, the first thing that came to mind was our communication. And here's another testament to getting to a marriage getaway. The Heart Life marriage getaways. Thank God. We are both non-confrontational, and
that's the opposite of us.
I might just shut down and be quiet, than talk. And having to be intentional with making sure that we communicate even when it's a little heated and we have to still have this discussion and I'm ready to shut it down and walk away. And having to do that. And there's times where we really had to just kind of press through and talk anyway. And it's just, and I would say all the times that I'm quiet is not just a shutdown. Some of the times it's just submitting and saying, okay, dear, and trusting God with the rest. And there have been times over the years where that has been such a blessing, knowing when to be quiet, talking to the wives now, knowing when to be quiet, because I just remember one time some years ago, John coming to me, I had said nothing. I didn't even pray about it. I think it might have just been a thought. And God took that thought and dealt with him. And he came apologizing to me for something I had not even mentioned. And it was like, okay. So there's times like that, but there's also times where I have to go and pray. And, we want to fight the right way. And we fight on our knees. If you think you're really right about something, then go and pray and talk to the Lord, because that's his child. And God will deal if you have someone who's willing and surrendered, that God going to deal with him anyway.
One way or the other.
Because he's a good God and he loves his kids.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just trusting God with that. So both ways in being quiet and submissive, as well as, the negative side of just shutting down and wanting to walk away, but having to stop doing that and talk it out when necessary, or knowing when to say, can we talk about this later?
Yeah. And I feel like either way. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing on that before I forget. It was a part there you said I'm talking to the wives. I was still listening. Some of that you can apply to the fellas, and I'm just
sir. Yes, sir.
Situation, that I could, yes, dear, and suck it up,
Yeah.
Well,
So
please thanks, Terrence. Boogie, man. You sorry, I call him T Boogie, but you nailed it, man. It's like, it's a mutual submission. It's a two-sided thing. It ain't a one-sided thing. And a lot of us men with our ego and everything else, you know what I'm saying? Yes, we got to pull it back. We got to shut it down. We got to, man. Listen, I'm gonna submit. Yes, ma'am. She'll tell you. I'm like,
I will say that that's something that I love that we can do. That we truly, submit one to another, like the Bible tells us to. It's not just I'm just submitting no, sometimes he's submitting and we submit together, and ultimately we just submit it to God.
That's it.
And so thank you, Terrence, because that's very, very true. Very, very true.
Okay, yeah.
And I was gonna say, you taught me this, Auntie Rachel, and then it was just kind of like I've heard it like at marriage getaways and stuff. But when you are feeling a certain way, and when you're a chatty one like myself, maybe a little spicy sometimes, it's more about trusting God more than you trust your husband. Like, you might not trust him to make the decision if you don't say something, but you trust God. And so I feel like that was like a huge lesson, especially in the beginning, and even now. Like, okay, I don't necessarily feel complete trust that he's going to make the right decision or he's going to know what to do or say, but I trust God. I trust you, God, that you know your child, and I just feel like it goes both ways. So that has helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the theme of this marriage getaway, we're gonna kind of wrap it up because we could go all night. But the theme of this marriage getaway is legacy. And so y'all got quite a bit of a legacy brewing, in your home. And so I just want to know, what does that mean to you guys to leave a legacy? And what do you feel like the theme of your household? What is the theme of the Jones household? What is your legacy? And I already know the answer, but let the people know.
Well, we are all about legacy. We're all about establishing our lives in our family in such a way that our children are on our shoulders, and they will be, propel themselves into what God's called them to do, far quicker, far beyond what we've done. That is our heart, and our heart for our family is to be love driven. Like, that is the core of who we are. Like, if what we do is not driven by love, then what are we doing? We need to slow down and check that, because God is love. That's who he is. And if what we're doing, checking our motives, checking our heart, if it's not being driven by God, then it's being driven by something else. You know what I'm saying? And I could be doing the right thing the wrong way, because I can have the right answer, but I'm driven by wanting to be right instead of reconciliation in my family. So if I'm not driven by love and saying, no, I want to be reconciled, not trying to be right. And I'm 48, and it's still to this day, I got to fight because I want to be right. You know what I'm saying? I want to be right, but I still want to be love driven more than I want to be right. And I get it wrong a lot, but you know what I'm saying? But that is the model of our family.
Yeah. And that's what we want to teach them more than anything, to love God with everything and love others as yourself. It's the greatest commandment that Jesus ever gave us was to love God with all of our heart, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so that includes yourself, of course. You can't love your neighbor just like you if you don't love you. And you can't love you if you don't love God with everything. And that's just the truth, because it's when we truly love God and get to know him that we get to know ourselves, and we get to know how to love ourselves. And that was one of the things that I prayed for. When I prayed for my husband, growing up, I would write in my journal and I would pray for my husband. I prayed that he would love God more than anything or anyone, because I knew if he loved God more than me, he would know how to love me. And so it's a primary thing in this house, because that's the greatest commandment that Jesus ever gave us, and we want to live that out in everything we do and everything we say. So to be love driven is to be God driven, because God is love.
That's so good. And I just have to ask this because I know we got parents listening, and you guys are parents and you're being love driven. So I know to have that as a theme and a legacy and words to live by can be a challenge for you when it comes to raising your kids and to doing things love driven, not emotionally driven. So I just want you to speak to that and like speak to that for parents.
That's real. I mean, you all know me and know that over the years, man, like I've been emotionally driven, and even in wanting to protect my children and wanting for them to have the best and to really submit to God, but the drive was emotional, and it wasn't. I wouldn't say totally, but a lot of it was emotional, and I had to correct and be corrected.
And the how.
Yeah, the how. The bottom line is the how. It's like the thought process of what you wanting is correct, but the how is, a lot of times it's just a reaction. Like, you're just not going. And man, oh my goodness, we've had to come face to face with it, and like we've got this something we got to work on every day, and we work on it. Like today, we worked on it. Like, hey, we've got to honor these children in the way we speak to them. And how we develop them. A lot of times we have to hold our tongue because old school want to come up and just shut it all down. Like, listen, all right, if the next person say anything, it's gonna be a wrap for everybody, And it's like, no, I want you to really be gentle with their hearts and really raise them up. So, and so I want them to see, and that bottom line, that's what is getting us. It's like, God keeps saying, John, I want, when they look at you, I want them to see a reflection of what their Heavenly Father is. Yeah. And I'm like, and that it kicks my butt, because it's like, yeah, God, you don't do me this way.
Yeah.
So why am I doing them that way?
Yeah. And the Bible tells us it's his kindness that leads us to repentance. Yeah. And that part is like, it's so huge to recognize, man, God is so kind, and that's what draws us closer to him. Not his wrath, not his correction. It's his kindness and how he comes and how he draws us, and how when we mess up, he doesn't want us to run the other direction. He wants us to come to him. And with our kids, it's been a growing process. I mean, even recently, God dealt with us with some mistakes that we made with our oldest. The oldest, they get all the mistakes. So
Tell me about
it. Yes, and God had to, he dealt with us, like brought us to tears, where we had to go and repent for something that God revealed. Yeah. And we had to ask forgiveness. We noticed something that has developed in our oldest that one, we didn't like, but part of that developed because of us, because of the how in our dealings with them. And I will say, just to mention, you definitely got to have balance. So please be led by the Holy Spirit, because we explain a lot to our kids, and we apologize more than any parent I've ever heard in my life. At least in my experience, it feels that way in my experience. I feel like we're always apologetic, but also we explain everything. We believe in teaching, but sometimes it's too much teaching. And so now when they should just listen the first time, they keep asking questions. And when it's not their time to ask questions. So you got to balance it out. So we're working on that too.
Or because we try to explain so much all the time. Now when we're talking in their ear, goes, because we explain everything. Like we overly explain it. Like, okay, just pull back a little. We're finding that balance. We're finding that dance. We're finding that rhythm, the rhythm of raising these mighty men and women of God.
Well, I just want y'all to know explaining can sometimes be a punishment, because I feel like I do stuff because I didn't want a lecture is what I call it. So let me get in line. No, I'm just kidding. But that was so good. I thank you guys for spilling your hearts and for being so transparent. You got any last words?
I mean, it's a few nuggets I definitely could take away with this. And sometimes I felt like, well, I know God speaks to us through others. You know what I mean? And sometimes I could literally feel like that was coming from you all. You know, some from Auntie Rachel, some from Uncle John, where he was just telling it to me. It had nothing to do with this internet interview, none of that. You know what I mean? So I thank you all for that. And I can't wait till the marriage getaway. You know, we always have fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So October, what is it? 21st?
21st
to the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have been every year
since we've been married.
And it has been a blast, and it just gets better every year. So that's been, and it's such a beautiful, sweet thing to be able to go with my adult nieces and nephews now.
That is crazy.
When I was a little girl, I used to want to go to the marriage retreat, and now we're going 6 years in.
Yeah, I've seen it transition as well. Like it was just us, and now all the sisters there too with 8 guys. You know, it grows and grows. And I love it. You know, I can't wait.
Yes, sir.
I do want to leave this because something that has helped us along the way. We invest in our marriage by going to the marriage getaway and books and things like that. Please invest in your family by reading books and improving ourselves. There's if you notice you have triggers, there's a book out there called Triggers. It's a great book. And it's a devotional. And there's lots of different books, Loving Your Kids on Purpose. So there's also invest in getting to know, because actually reading books to help us raise our children actually helped us with some deliverance areas from things that we experienced growing up. It was like, oh, Jesus. I thought I was doing this just for the kids, but it was so much for us. So the same with our marriage, you know, in going to the marriage getaway, you find out how much it is about your improvement and not just because your improvement is going to help all of the whole family.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that. Raising kids and immersing yourself into learning definitely brings healing to you. Just like I think marriage does too. It's a reflection of all the things that God wants to work out. So see y'all at the marriage retreat, October 21st to 23rd. Mommy, sorry we went so long. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time on